Hey guys, just a quick thoughts on a few different tyre compounds you can get for the 110 scale Formula 1 chassis. I thought I'd kick off with Shimizu's and Ride tyres because them two seem to be the most popular at the moment. Pits, we'll start with the pits. Basically, I've got two sets here. This one's a new set, this one's an old set. These are Shimizu 575 rear tyres. I've just made the rims black with a marker pen, that's why they're not silver. These tyres came pre-glued and they're generally fine tyres. I mean, the wheels are very strong. Don't generally have to add any more glue, it's usually okay. Sometimes you have to add a little bit more, but it's no big deal. And the tyre themselves, it's very durable. I think I've had this set for almost 2 years, and I still use them to race. And this is my new set, which were slightly grippier than the old set. However, I managed to destroy them really because I drilled a hole in the rim. And what this did, I believe, after testing, is that after about 10 or 11 laps, the front tyres heat up nicely. The rear tyres, because of the hole I drilled, they don't heat up properly. So basically the car's oversteering like crazy and you just end up doing donuts. I drilled a hole initially because when we had before you got pre-glued Shimizu tyres, you had to make them on Tamiya rims, either modify Tamiya rubber tyre rims or use the foam tyre rims. And then you could choose your own insert, and then, or maybe no insert, and then put the Shimizu tyre compound onto that combination. But it recommended you drill a hole to keep the tyre cool, I assume. So in my great wisdom and logic, I thought, well, let's see if we can do it with these, and maybe it'll improve them once they heat up. Maybe it'll stop them overheating. And it had the opposite effect. It actually just ruined the tyre. I can just plug that hole, I guess, that I made, and maybe they'll come back to life for me, but it's no big deal. Like I say, I'm still using the old ones because the old ones are generally fine. Before I carry on, I'll just mention that I do all my racing outdoors on unprepared surfaces, basically car parks or anywhere that we can find that's suitable. But we generally use the same surfaces, the same car parks in our local area. So all this tyre talk and my thoughts and opinions are based on outdoor racing, on unprepared surfaces. And I don't use any tyre additives neither. I tried once, I tried the green, I think it's Corelli, and to be honest, it just made my car do donuts. I don't know if I did it wrong, if I didn't leave it on long enough, if I didn't wipe it off, whatever, it just didn't work, it didn't help me at all. But again, maybe I've done that wrong. So yeah, these are Shimizu 575s. And generally the go-to tyre for most people who don't race in a competition such as ETS or I can't speak for Tamiya. I don't know if they do Tamiyas anymore, and I think maybe at one time Tamiya were actually running Shimizus with their TCS logo on. I don't know. Anyway, the 575s I definitely recommend if you're starting out. Especially if you live in a generally cooler climate. The thing about these tyres, what you've got to understand, is they're very temperature sensitive, and these pits, they're great, cool temperatures, even in the wet they're fine. But once you start creeping up to 20 degrees, especially if it's a clear day and the sun's on the track, the rears tend to go off quite quickly, and that's when you start looking at different compounds. So as I say, very durable. I've never seen one break or fail, and generally all round a good tyre. The only criticism I've got of Shimizu pre-glued tyres is the insert or the relationship between the tyre rim and the insert, because basically it's very, there's just no cushion in there. I can't explain it. I reckon these would be fantastic indoors on a carpet track or on a very smooth concrete surface or tarmac surface if it's very smooth. But sometimes for the more bumpier car parks, there's just not a lot in there, and sometimes I think that affects the handling of the car, and it's just not ideal for outdoor racing. That being said, when you had to put the pit compound onto a Tamiya rim, you could insert Tamiya foam inserts instead of the pit Shimizu insert, which is very thin. And in my opinion, that is the best combination. If you get a Tamiya rim, or you can get the Exotech rims, the offset Exotech rims. I've heard that they're not very, that they can be quite brittle, although in my experience, I don't own any. I know someone that does, but they're not broken yet. But yeah, if you can put in the pit compound onto a Tamiya rim with a thicker insert for outdoor racing, I think that's the way forward personally. It just gives you much more stability in your car, and your car it'll negotiate the bumps at the track better. You'll just be more forgiving basically, and you'll get away with more errors. Which especially if you're starting out in F1 racing, you need to be able to get away with errors to enjoy it. Otherwise, you'll just be having a bad time. So moving on. So they're the 575s, soft compound rears, pit Shimizu. If you're racing under 20 degrees, dry or wet, they're a good tyre. These are the pit Shimizu rears. These are 572s. And they look, as you can see, they're looking in much better condition than those because I very rarely use them, because where I live it's very rarely hot enough. That being said, when the pits do go off, the 575s, I automatically always go for the rides, the R1s, which I'll come to in a minute. So I guess I need to test these more because I believe they are made for the warmer temperatures, so they should be comparable to the ride R1s, and they're probably in some conditions superior. It's just I've not, the R1s have always been my hot weather go-to tyre, so I've not really dared try these yet. But exactly the same as the 575s, except they're just medium compound and they're for higher temperatures. Not much testing done on these. If I do test these, I'll let you guys know. But I would definitely expect over 20 degrees, sun on the track, you know, high track temperatures, these probably would come in. And I guess you're probably looking at a few laps to get them to optimum temperature. And that might sound strange as well, especially to people that put sauce on the tyres and everything. But I've noticed that, well, 99.9% of the time I've never used any tyre additive. And I've noticed that with a lot of these tyre compounds, they need a few laps to get to the optimum working range. So that's one for the future really, but those are the 572 medium pits. Okay, moving on, we'll go to the front tyre pit Shimizus. We'll start with the mediums. Again, it's all about where your racing track condition, how much traction there is on your track. I'd say generally, if you're just starting out, the pit Shimizus, the mediums are 573. These will make your car very stable. You should have an understeer your car with these. Car should push more in the corners rather than try and oversteer and start doing donuts or get a snappy front end, let's say. If you're using these with soft rears, the 575 rears, and you've got an oversteery car, you've got a few issues. You need to have a look at your build and your setup, because it should give you a very good stable balance. And I've rarely used them, but the last few races that I've raced, I have to say they've been a good tyre to go to, very consistent. I think especially in F1, when you're outdoors and literally the conditions are very unpredictable. I've had races where it's been clear, your car's perfect, and then a cloud literally covers the sun, the temperature goes down a few degrees, and all of a sudden you've got no steering or you've got too much steering. It's really sensitive outdoors, I've never raced indoors, but I can imagine if you've got stable conditions and it's predictable, you must be able to dial the car in fantastic. But generally for the race, you want I guess any time you just want a stable, predictably handling car. The mediums will give you that. The medium fronts and a soft rear compound. It's a classic, and most people should start with that, I'd say. That being said, moving on to the front two tyres, the 571. These are the soft fronts. Now, I bought a new set for this season's competition that we race locally. A new set of soft pits and rears and a new set of fronts. And immediately, I started racing with a new chassis as well, and the chassis, I believe, had better steering naturally than my older chassis. And you do get quite a lot at front end with these 571 softs. They are a very good tyre and they last forever. I've had this set for about 2 years, and this is what I use mainly for the simple reason is that these scrub set of front softs, they're basically in between the new set of softs, which are very grippy, give me a lot of steering, and the mediums, which very stable but sometimes don't give you the steering that you really need. So basically it's a middle ground, somewhere in between. So that's basically why I generally use my scrub set. Obviously, if you've never bought a set before, you're just gonna either have to deal with the the new grippy front softs or the less grippy mediums. So that's just life, I guess. But again, it's just finding a balance. Some tracks I've used the softest, the most grippiest tyres I've got at the front, and it's been perfect. Other tracks I've had to have a look at these two and find the comfort zone, I guess. So that's the Pit brand. Just moving over to the Ride brand of tyres. We'll start with the R1s. Again, I've just coloured these rims in. There should be silver rims. Yeah, there you go. The R1s, fantastic rear tyre. I really do like them, and essentially I prefer them on my car over the Pit Shimizus. And I say that just in that form of pit, in the pre-glued. If I could be bothered to spend the money on buying a set of TAM rims and pit compounds, I'd probably make my own wheel set of a Pit Shimizu tyre on a Tamiya rim with a Tamiya foam insert. And basically it's because you'll get something like the sponginess of the rides, which I just think, again, for outdoor racing on unprepared surfaces, bumpy tracks, that's just fantastic. You need that little bit. If the tyre's too stiff and unforgiving, your car can end up doing strange things. Ride R1s, again, once it starts creeping in the higher teens, 20 degrees, especially again if the sun's on the track, clear day, these definitely are superior to the 575 Pit Shimizus. Again, I need to compare them with the 572s, but just for the stability of that insert, or maybe there's just more air in there, I don't know. That my car just always feels better with these. You always feel smoother, and that you can just get away with more errors and push harder and race harder. So R1's definitely a good tyre once it starts creeping above 20 degrees. A little bit difficult to get hold of now. Yeah, I think, as far as I know, you have to kind of order from Japan. So I don't know if they're being phased out in favour of the Ride XRs. I'm not sure. If they are, that's a shame because they're a good tyre. But I'd suggest, if you're interested in all this, and if you've not tried these, just grab some while you can, because they're definitely worth it at higher temperatures. And even at lower temperatures, they're good, but you have to run the Ride front wheels with them. If you run the Pit, especially the Pit Soft, with the Ride R1 rear, which is a good combination, the Pit fronts with the Ride rears, and the temperature drops, you'll start to get an oversteery car, definitely, with these softs. Again, you could whack on the mediums and see if you can get away with that. it all depends on yourself and the track and the driving style. But at a lower temperature, if you wanted to run the R1s, I'd probably think you'd have to run the ride fronts with them. These are XR fronts, and these are very hard. So it'll be very stable, but you'll have overall less grip, basically. I suspect anyway. So they're R1s, again around 20 degrees plus, sun on the track, great tyre. Looking at these final tyre for this video, the Ride XRs. I rarely use these tyres again because it takes such a higher temperature to make me take these R1s off my car and put the XRs because basically they're for higher temperatures. I'm assuming if it was 25 degrees, 30 degrees, especially above 30 degrees, clear blue skies, these would be probably fantastic. But because we very rarely get those conditions when we race, I've not had a great chance to test them. I can say, for information, that if you just put this set onto your car at a lower condition, they are stable, and it'd be a great set to learn on with this combination, but probably not fast. XRs, and if you raced against a set of pits, you'd have a very stable car, but this combination would be much faster at a low temperature. 10-15 degrees increase in temperature, and these would probably be much better. So quite an interesting learning curve for someone. I mean, I've never raced any other RC categories, so it's coming new to F1, and it definitely is. Most of the setup is your tyres, and I mean, you can, once you've got the right tyres on, yes, you can copy people's setups online or change maybe caster and camber, but without the right tyres, forget it. You're not just not going to be there. And that's the big thing about F1 racing for me, is the tyres. You have to understand the tyres, and that it's not how they necessarily feel, it's how the rubber reacts to the track temperature, which I guess is basically like real Formula 1 and how it should be. So that's it for the discussion on these compounds. Hopefully the next video I'll be looking at a couple of different tyre compounds. We've recently got a new ride compound which I haven't got my hands on yet, but I plan on getting, and there's also the new Hudi tyres which have just been released as well. It's a shame that one little thing that irritates me about retailers or even manufacturers, we never get much data about the tyres themselves. And I mean, they're not cheap. I mean, if I wanted to get a set of Ride, I think of the new Ride GRs for the ETS series. I mean, including posts, it's upwards of £50, £45-50. It's not cheap for a tyre that might actually be useless to me in my condition, or it just might not be good enough to really warrant putting these aside and trying them. So I guess it'd be nice if we got more feedback on the websites and more reviews of the tyres. Anyway, that's enough waffling for this video. Hope you enjoyed. As I said, I'll be back soon with another one. Thank you.